Yeah, get out your pen and paper there, or a piece of charcoal that you can write on the ground or whatever. But maybe just get you a stick and you can write it out there in the dirt. But the number to call is 300-1885.
Okay, that's 254-300-1885.
Yeah, that'll hook you up to my wife, and she'll take your information, and we'll get back to you.
Okay, and then the address, if you just want to mail a check and don't want to call somebody or deal with that or go to the GoFundMe page, the address is P.O. Box 34, Davilla, Texas, Davilla, and the zip is 76523. And we'll give that address again in the next hour.
Yeah, y'all keep your pen and pencil paper handy there. So when we give that out again, you can write it all down.
Okay, so the Queensland Senator Fraser Anning, he made a tweet about, or wrote a letter or whatever, memo regarding the New Zealand mosque shooting, and then was slammed for it and promptly, ran with his tail between his legs and deleted it.
Yeah, but
But you
everything he
thought it
said
was very, yeah.
everything he said was dead on, folks. And we're going to let Haven read that statement he made. This is from a senator in New Zealand. But Haven, can you read that for us?
Yes, I can. Okay, so it starts, I am utterly oppressed to any form of violence within our community, and I totally condemn the actions of the gunmen. However, while this kind of this is a word I'm hard, vigilantism can never be justified, what it highlights is the growing fear within our community, both in Australia and in New Zealand, of the increasing Muslim presence. As always, left-wing politicians and the media will rush to claim that the cause of today's shootings lie within gun laws or those who hold nationalist views, but this is all cliche nonsense. The real cause of bloodshed of New Zealand streets today is the immigration program which allowed Muslim fanatics to migrate to New Zealand in the first place. Let this be clear. While Muslims may have been the victims today, usually they are the perpetrators. Worldwide, Muslims are killing people in the name of their faith on an indestructible scale. The entire religion of Islam is simply the violent ideology of the 6th century masquerading as a religious leader, which justifies endless war against anyone who oppresses it and calls for the murder of unbelievers. The truth is that Islam is not like any other faith. It is a religious equivalent of fascism. And just because the followers of this savage belief were not the killers in this instance does not make them blameless. As we read in Matthew 26:52, all that they have taken the sword shall perish by the sword, and those who follow a violent religion that calls on to murder us cannot be surprised, and someone who takes their word and responds is kind. Yeah.
God, that
Okay.
pretty much did it in a nutshell, didn't it?
That. Thank you, Haven, for reading that. And I think that I hope everyone was paying attention when he read that, because that guy just nailed it. He hit it right square on the head. That,
Boy, you're not going to hear that anyplace else.
no.
Shame on you.
In Dallas today, they're having all kinds of interdenominational, whatever, uh, uh, sympathetic rallies for the people in New Zealand, and I don't mean to downplay that, but I'm just saying, where was all the sympathy? Where was all of the outpouring of love when the Baptists got shot? 26 of them got killed in Sutherland Springs.
Or how about when
Or-
the Twin Towers and they were throwing candy
Yeah.
out and rejoicing?
When the Twin Towers fell, 3,000, almost 3,000 people killed. The Muslim people in other countries were dancing in the streets and hollering "Death to America." When are we going to figure out, folks, that the Muslim religion or
It's not a
ideology,
religion.
indicates kill the infidel wherever you find him, and that's in the Quran 100 different times. So, these people, they're not about loving thy neighbor. We would like to think that, but that's not the way it is.
Only when
folks.
they want to market their ideology.
What other religious group, like in Eastern countries, the Shiites will bomb a mosque and kill 100 Sunnis just because they're Sunnis and not Shiites. Now they're both Muslim, but I'm just saying, what other religion that you know of will walk in and kill 100 people they don't even know. They
Is it-
have no idea who they're killing. They just want to kill somebody.
So I'm just going to ask a question. Is it possible it is just in their DNA to fight and kill? I mean, I know there's those that do not, and there's like a 10% of that do jihad, but there's that old adage, and a lot of the military has come back and said this from having scouts and interpreters and stuff, that they say, there's the ones that will kill you, and then there's the ones that will hold you down while the others chop your head off.
Yeah, and so when are we, the American people, going to wake up to this? And when are we going to stop allowing our politicians to flood our country with these people from other cultures, other religions, other ways of life? Why on earth? And let me back up just a minute now, folks. I'm quoting Barack Hussein Obama. I want to fundamentally change America. Do y'all remember him saying that? Do you know what that statement means?
Well, the
And
statement.
then the next thing I heard him say was, I want to bring 110,000 here from Syria. Those are all Muslim people. He wanted to bring 110,000 here to this country. And then Hillary followed up and said, oh no, I want to multiply that times 550%. Think about that, folks. Why does the Democrat Party want to flood America with Muslims and other people from other cultures that run contrary to what we in the United States of America believe in this Judeo-Christian?
If they want to bring all these people in, and we have the economy to do that, we have the system to do that, we have the room to do that, and we want them.
But we won't have it long.
No, wait. But they have to be people who want to assimilate, not people who want to make their own country within our country and then take over our country by exterminating us
Well,
and overpopulating us.
I saw him interview a nationally known psychologist, and he made the statement that there's 100 verses in the Quran that says, kill the infidel wherever you find him. And then he went on to say that these people, it's in their culture, it's in their DNA, if you will, to kill Christians. And he said every Muslim person has the potential of being a jihadist. You think about that statement, folks, and we want to bring how many here?
I think we got Rick.
We're going to let Rick explain all this to us. Rick, are you still there?
Yes, good afternoon. Well, New Zealand and Australia have some of the strictest gun laws there are. About all you can own is a shotgun. And, how did that law work for him? This guy went in there with a bunch of automatic weapons and stuff and shot up that mosque or those mosques. And, the crime rate in Australia and New Zealand have skyrocketed after they took everybody's guns. And some people didn't want to give up their guns, and they just outright killed some of them. And that they don't talk about that very much when this story hit the news. They never. Maybe alternative media does, but not the news media. And then my second point is every Easter and Christmas, Christian churches. Christian churches and worshipers are mowed down with guns and cars and things by, guess who? Muslims. But you never hear the outcry from the media like when a mosque is attacked.
Well, that was my point a while ago, Rick. Why are we so sympathetic to Muslims being killed in New Zealand? Far, far more sympathetic than we were to the Baptists being killed at the church in Sutherland Springs, Texas. Why is that? Why this huge outpouring of love and sympathy when it's Muslims in New Zealand and it's not Baptists in Sutherland Springs, Texas?
Oh yeah, in fact, they seem to celebrate things like the Arab Spring when all those churches were burned and stuff, and Christians were being slaughtered, and they thought, oh, this is a great thing, the Arab Spring. I mean, it's really, I think it just fits the narrative of the media that white supremacists are bad, which they are, and white people in general are bad, I guess, and also that guns are bad, and Muslims are good, and it's those poor peaceful Muslims were worshiping. And I'm not saying that I sympathize with those people. They were just trying to do their prayer thing, and they got slaughtered, and that's a sad thing. But it happens all the time, all over the world, and we never hear about it. When the Hutus and the Tutsis or whatever they were killing each other, we didn't even it didn't even make the back page of the newspaper, let alone the front page.
Yeah, and take note that they did so without guns. That country has no guns. They used axes and hoes and machetes, and they killed, I thought it was 100,000 people. I just heard recently it was 800,000 people. At any rate, it was a lot of people. And they were killed because of tribal conflict. Had nothing to do with the ownership of guns or anything else. So I read a cartoon years and years ago of a bad guy, a robber, just robbed a bank or whatever, and they went out and they lynched the gun and turned the criminal loose. Well, that's what we're trying to do right now about this deal in New Zealand. We want to blame it all on the gun, not on the guy that did the killing.
But as Tyler said that, he thought that he had read in there that was the point of this guy's shooting, was to try to divide the world on guns and have the guns banned.
Well,
yes, he liked that. He studied that Dylan Roof guy's writings, and he said similar things about causing a civil war in this country. The guy that shot those poor black people in that church, and these kind of people, they're like anarchists or something. This guy called himself an eco-terrorist, the one who shot up the mosque, and he said he hated Christians and conservatives. But you're not going to hear that on the mainstream media. They're going to try to paint him as a Christian white guy. You just watch. They're going to say that he was some kind of, skinhead, white supremacist, neo-Nazi Christian guy. That's an oxymoron, because most of these neo-Nazis are not Christian.
Well,
if not all of them.
And without a doubt, Rick, he must have been a racist, I guess he was a racist gun owner. I mean, that's worse than being a child molester or anything else.
So how did he get those guns into New Zealand? That's what I want to know. He was an Australian citizen, and they don't let you have guns like that. And yet he was able to go in there and shoot up a mosque. And you ever notice that it took 17 minutes of, when he streamed it live on Facebook, and there was no response from any type of law enforcement.
Well, wasn't it really interesting that all of this was directed at the United States, and they have the strictest gun laws, and he got all those guns in over there? I could really stretch a conspiracy theorist.
I keep asking the question, Rick, and you do too. How much different would it have been had there been one person in there with a concealed carry permit and a 9mm? It might not have been any better, but it sure wouldn't have been any worse.
Wasn't there a good guy with a gun in this case too that got the guy apprehended?
Yeah, let's consider that case. Here, let's compare it to the Sutherland Springs Baptist Church shooting. One barefooted plumber stopped that mess, because he had a gun and he was willing to stand up like a man and do something about it. Now, I keep talking about him, but he was an example of an American Christian, freedom-loving, gun-owning American, and he's an example of who the left wants to punish. The progressives want to punish the barefooted plumber in Sutherland Springs.
Well,
Mr. Williston was his name.
You know, they tied this immediately, the media tied this immediately to Trump, to try to derail Trump for 2020. I don't know.
Oh yeah, and that guy said he didn't like Trump.
Yeah, but the media was saying he was a Trump supporter.
And he definitely did not say nice things about Trump in his manifesto or whatever you call it. He did say he liked some of, I forgot what he said about Trump.
It was something about Trump being white and
but
ruling the country.
He did say he hated his policies, though.
Yes.
And he did say he hated Christians and he hated conservatives and he was a eco-terrorist. That means, I guess, that he wants to kill as many people as possible to save the planet or something like that.
Yeah, because he's a new Green Deal supporter.
Yeah, maybe he's a supporter of Ms. Cortez.
Yeah, wonder where his funding came from.
Well, you know, when are we, the American people, going to wake up, Rick, to the reality of what's going on? You know, look at this guy, you know, he wants to start a civil war or some kind of a war in the United States, and he's going to get his wish if we're not careful. If we, the American people, are so stupid that we allow those kind of people to govern what we do.
Well, before I go, what scares me the most lately, I mean, that kind of took over the news cycle real quick when that tragedy in New Zealand happened. But what scares me, before I let y'all go, is all these young people who seem to be brainwashed by the schools and the parents to think that we only have 12 years left and the Earth's going to be dead or something like that. That's terrifying to me because those poor kids, they really believe this stuff, and it worries me because when 12 years comes along and the Earth's still here, what are they going to say? I mean, what's going to happen to their trust in the adults and stuff that are brainwashing them like this?
Well, what I remember Abby Hoffman in the 70s touring campuses, universities and colleges, and his message was, don't trust anybody over 30. That was his message that he was speaking to all the students. Well, it must have worked, Rick. Now, you know, if you don't trust anyone over 30, who do you trust? Oh, you trust the 22-year-old or the 24-year-old or the whatever.
Or AOC.
Yeah, Rick,
AOC.
Listen to these two. Al Gore says global warming same as civil war and will be the cause of the end of the civilization. Beto equates himself and other global warming activists with those who were on the beaches in Normandy during the Second World War. Really?
Yeah, see, Rick, that makes me so damn mad I can't hardly talk. For him to equate this environmental green movement to the boys that fought in the trenches in Normandy and places like that, Iwo Jima.
They were pinned down for 3 days,
Yeah,
4 days.
I remember a story of one group of soldiers that were, all they could do for 3 days was load and shoot. You know where they used the bathroom?
Their pants.
In their pants. Now, how this guy Beto can equate that to the Green New Deal, every veteran, every freedom-loving American in this country ought to despise what that guy just said.
That's the only good thing about him is he's starting off by being so far to the left that even Democrats that don't like Trump are going to think twice about voting for that guy. So maybe him talking like that is actually a good thing.
It does if the American people have brains enough to understand what he just said. And
you know that great scientist Albert Gore Jr.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
You know, that's somebody you can really trust.
Yeah. Well, now keep in mind, Rick, you're criticizing Al Gore, but you forgot that Denver, Colorado, is now underwater. according to Al Gore, you need to get in your boat and go to Denver and, see how wet it is up there, because the Gulf of Mexico is supposed to be over Denver, Colorado by now, according to Mr. Gore.
No, don't you remember? Obama did 2 terms, so he kept, a lot of his promises. He fundamentally changed America by destroying the healthcare system. And I guess when he promised to bring the ocean levels down, it really worked.
I guess. So, see there, Obama saved us from Al Gore's flood.
Hey, Rick, you need to make sure you listen in the next hour, because I think Vicky's going to call in and read that short murder fantasy that Beto wrote when he was 15.
Oh, cool.
We just got 1 minute left,
Yeah,
folks.
so I just wanted to let
bye.
you know. All right.
Rick, we appreciate your call. You got our motor started as usual. Well, we're having a good show today, folks. I'm sure enjoying it, and I hope y'all are too. So if you have something to talk about, well, now we're going to break for the top of the hour, but we'll be right back in just a little bit, and y'all think about what you want to call in and talk about, and we'll sure take your call. The number is 773-1400. Okay.
We'll be back in a minute.
We'll be back
Well,
in
a few minutes. It's top of the hour.
Yeah, it's top of the hour, I guess.